And I found that just in my small efforts across a few states, that a lot of groups are still in that cycle of trauma and have a lot of internal conflict. So it's very difficult for them to be ready to then bring in other systems, other communities, and start working together, let alone thinking about solutions for some of their problems. And at the time, it made me feel disappointed because my vision for what I was going to be doing completely was like shattered, because I was like, this is not going to happen, right? But it allowed me to understand, like, just because we give someone money isn't going to help them be well. I'm not saying let's not give money to people who need support systems. I'm saying that if there is someone who is a steward of these financial funds, then the steward must think about that truth and do the hard work that it takes, or create a team or someone to do the hard work it takes to get through the trauma, so then we can start talking about systems and then start implementing them. That's many, many, many years down the line. But that investment is needed. Without going too deep into it, every Indigenous community has been disenfranchised to a tremendous degree, including being removed from their home. Like, that idea, fathom, like, in any circumstance, if you're being forcefully removed in any way, shape, or form, that would be traumatic. And then you add destruction, like destroying forests where people are getting their food systems, killing all of the buffalo in order to control the people. Those are some sinister acts. And so that feeling of like victimization and feeling small and not able and not, that is something that is still, I would call it a disease. It's still embedded in culture, and it's not just, these lands, it's, I'm sure, many other lands and other places, in terms of like Indigenous peoples and how they feel regarding making choices for their own health and wellness. And like, you're right, why not just create food forests? Like, I have so many ideas on that, but yeah, like, this is where we need to go back to. And I don't have a clear solution or idea around what that could look like, because it's a collective action piece, so hopefully, I'm here for that when we're ready.
Yeah, for sure. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, during a tumultuous time where there's all these social political things happening, and we're feeling uncertain about life, we're feeling uncertain about the things that are happening in life, like, come back to the truth of the self. And I just want to invite you to come back to the truth of yourself. And if some things have been happening in your life and you have forgotten that truth, you aren't connected to your inner voice, or the elements of you that allow you to connect to your truth, that truth that lives within every cell of your being, the truth that is connected to every elder through your genetic blueprint, and your connection to the cosmic universe, and your oversoul, the energy that is driving your human body, whatever that looks like for you, whatever feels good for you. I want to encourage that, because in order for us to find our ability to be an ally to solve some of these problems, or to at least have relief, if your job in this world isn't like us, where we're here to actually like support big groups of people to support change in the world, but instead you want to take control of your own family system and be able to live with a lot more liberty and a lot more harmony, then connecting to that true self, that true version of you, will serve you really well. And then if you are a leader of creating change in your world, and that's part of your inner being, you've always been that, now is the time for us to commune, And so if you've already been in connection to that true voice, that true self, we want to encourage you to join us. We want to encourage you to join Steve and I in, this momentum of really important work where we each in our own unique way are here to be in our truth, be in our superpower, so that we can build a beautiful ripple of change in the world, and that being rooted in love and compassion, and that being rooted in the highest expression of our gifts. Because what we love to do, what we want to do, is the gift to the world. And if you're not giving it, then you're missing out on that reciprocity of what gifts are meant to do, right? I give you a gift, and then I get something back. I get appreciation, I get love, and maybe even I get something of equal value back, right? Which is what commerce is all about. So I want to invite that. I want to invite our beautiful community to just be connecting to that. And if you're interested to learn more about the high mind, maybe we can talk more in depth about that in the next series, in the next session, to talk about how can we practice being in our high mind? How can we practice listening to our inner being, ourselves, the whole universe within? How can we begin to feel like we're exploring what that true authentic voice is again, and move past some of the mental fog that we might have currently present in our life?
Thank you very much. And I wanted to end with one thing. Try to get yourself in a place that you're aligned with the fact of everything that you're going towards. I aim to do this, but I miss out sometimes, and I don't judge myself because I make sure, because most of the time I get it in the very important times, that every single movement in business and in person, in like your personal relationship, everything that you're doing is a win for me. That would be you in the situation. Win for you. That would be me in that situation. Win for humanity. 3 things. Win for you, win for me, win for humanity. Everything that you're moving, like when you had you're talking to the lady at Starbucks, is it a win for you, win for me, win for humanity? When you're talking to the man at Starbucks, win for you, win for me, win for humanity. When you're talking to a police officer, I know one situation that I talked to a police officer, and somebody had stole a phone with a knife, and then 5 days later, it was a guy with dreadlocks. 5 days later, he stops me. I've got the cleanest record. I got a clean as record as possible, and this guy that I was hanging out at the time, his name was Neil. He was a student, more around my age, but he had a prison record. And I don't know what he did, but he had a prison record. But white dude, glasses, short hair, dressed like a professor. I know if somebody with his description, 5 minutes later, police wouldn't stop him. But 5 days later, because somebody stole a cell phone, police officer approaches me. I let the police officer know I was frustrated, but I just because that's how I was feeling, but I didn't take it out on him. Couple years later, I'm at a 7-Eleven, and I randomly went over there to put some money on a prepaid card. It turns out they were out of the prepaid cards. All of a sudden, I was noticing an altercation that was going on between African American and this old white dude. Old white guy swinging his cane and everything. They're not paying attention to him at all. They call the police on the African American, who everybody was ganging up on. Me, I was in a neutral place. I happened to be behind this guy. He's breaking all the rules. He's moving laterally. He's going like this. The police officers thought he was with me. I'm standing behind him. He was about to put the cuffs on him. I walk over to him and I said, my intuition said, "You're his lawyer right now," because I grew up with a military father, and I make the joke that my imaginary friend growing up was an attorney, because I'm able to always get myself out of situations. I'm a good person, but I'm always get myself out of situations because I had to do that as a child. Being free is my number one value. I walk over and I said, "Is it okay?" I all of a sudden went into zone of how a police officer talks. I go, "Is it okay if I create a barrier between you and him so you can talk?" and he puts the cuffs away immediately. If you know how police, they will usually not reverse something. He puts it away. It was the guy that approached me 2 years before with about and it was because of the way I mindfully reacted to the situation.
Oh, interesting.
And he would see me walking around at all the times, and then I was like, oh, I'm going through a lot of shit that's going to help a lot of people, and I was very alone at that point. There was like what's going on between us. It wasn't happening that much. A lot of people saw me as because I needed to get more grounded. That's part of it, but also I was ahead of the game too. It was
I
was
feel
both,
you on that.
It was both of those things. And it was me learning things through the process instead of blaming other people. Oh, these people don't know, they're not as woke as me, like all that different stuff.
For sure, yeah.
I've been at this game for a while. I've been at this game for a while. And I was rough around. Do you think I'm rough around the edges now? I was rough around the fucking edges. People would say little things to me and I would fucking freak out. But I made tune that I'm not a pacifist, but I said no matter what, I'm not going to violence. It's like violence from a point of that's what I saw everything into it. Attacking to the point of things. Sometimes I invert, like just like Krishna. I view things in society and it's like, okay, that happened. I'm not for that, but that makes sense. That makes sense because it's going about. So
yeah.
Do you want to end it like this unless you have something else to say?
Yeah, I think that's good. We would love to know what you want us to talk about. Yeah, what topics do you want to know about? Like, what pressing issues do you want to learn the sovereign approach to? That would be awesome.
Send either of us a private message.
Yeah.
Or comment below.
Yep.
Peace.
All right, until next time.
Until next time.